you all to Coffee at 11, Coffee with Colin Live. You all got your coffee mugs there, or your peppermint tea cups or whatever it is, right? To cheers, everybody. And I'd like to welcome in particular Noelle Crehan, my special guest for today on the Coffee with Colin show, which is becoming. Let me just introduce Noelle before we pass over to herself. Noelle Crehan, I know for a long time, last number of years. Her business name is Nourish with Noelle. What does your business do? Support individuals in assessing their nutritional and lifestyle needs, helping them make changes that has a positive influence on their health and well-being. How long established? I've been working in health and well-being for 12 years, self-employed for the last 2. You work on your own, no employees. I've worked in health and well-being for 12 years, working in the areas of eating disorders, weight management, naturopathic nutrition, is that the right word? Naturopathic nutrition, as well as body therapy. In my practice, I integrate nutritional therapy and massage therapy, considering the physical, mental, and emotional well-being of the whole person when assessing health. Fabulous. I passionately believe in a personalised approach that shifts the view of healthcare from one focused on the management of symptoms to one that addresses the root cause, achieving long-term health and vitality. I believe it is important to educate people in the art of that word, the art of self-care, empowering them to accept greater responsibility in their own health and show them steps they can take to achieve optimal health. And something nobody knows about you, I hate the feel of cotton wool. There's the first. There's the first. Noelle Crehan, pleasure having you on Coffee at 11. So we're going to start with a handful of questions before we go to Q&A from the floor. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen on the call, I'm expecting somebody's going to have the first question when we get there. Noelle Crehan, please tell us, who is Noelle Crehan? Background before Nourish with Noelle, please.
Yeah, I suppose I started in health about 12 years ago. So I was about 20 plus. And what brought it in, I suppose what brought me there was I was working already within skin therapy and within body therapy, which I really loved doing. However, I myself then was struggling with my relationship with food and my own health. So I started to obviously seek support for that. And then I found myself studying in the area of eating disorders for about two to 3 years at that stage. From that then I kind of broadened my horizons towards weight management, and then I got towards naturopathic nutrition. So I suppose I went the opposite, as in I specialised first, and then I went into more of a broader aspect of food and interpretation, I suppose, of food, how it affects us on a functional level, but also on how we feel and our relationship with food. It plays a big part, I suppose, in my health and my well-being, and I suppose that's where the real interest has always stemmed from. I don't think food offers all the solutions, but it is a big part of our lives, an important part of our lives. And I think just having more knowledge around that and being able to support people in that manner, I love doing.
And we know you're in Galway today, and we hear it's raining up there. We're terribly sorry to hear that, because it's beautiful where we are.
As per usual.
Where everybody else on the call is, it's beautiful. So you're in Galway. I know you're originally from Galway, that neck of the woods. You want to touch on family background, school. When did you decide you wanted to get into this space at all?
I don't think I consciously chose to get into nutrition and into health. It was my own, I suppose, experience of ill health for a number of years. I had an eating disorder myself when I was 20, and I found the support challenging to get real efficient and good support. From that then I went through a hard time with anxiety and panic attacks for a number of years. And I was trying really hard to get through that and find the right methods and support. However, I kept on coming up against black walls, and never really getting an understanding and an answer of why these things were happening. And that really had to lead me to taking responsibility for my health and studying and researching, and going towards other avenues like America, Canada, looking to the future, I suppose, for some kind of hope and some kind of understanding. Unfortunately, I got it, because a lot of the times when you are going through something, especially within the area of mental health, you can be told that it's something you have to live with, or it's something you have to battle for the rest of your life. And I think they were two proposals I wasn't really willing to take. You know, I just had, I suppose, a gut instinct and a belief that this is something I'm going through, but it's not something I have to live with. And thankfully, really meeting your basic needs really supports you getting through that and getting over that. And for me, the foundation really was in nutrition and in lifestyle.
Well, you've clearly been through some journey, and you've come out the far end. Dare I say it, on behalf of everyone on the call, you look like the picture of health. And so nobody would pick you out of a lineup in the street and say, there's somebody who struggled with eating disorders back in the day. So thank you for your honesty. And I really appreciate that, because this is about real people sharing their real journeys. Mm-hmm. It's just that there's everybody else out there in the world struggling with their own journey, whatever that is. So we're all just trying to help each other on the path, help each other find our way home. So thank you, Noelle, for that. So that leads us, and by the way, I'm delighted that you found all the supports that you did, delighted that you were strong enough and brave enough to look elsewhere, look in Canada, look in America, find what worked for you, and you clearly put it to work. Mm-hmm. And that brought you to Nourish with Noelle, which is your business. And I'd like, if you wouldn't mind, tell us, what's that been like up until COVID-19, up until the last period, right? What were you doing? Who were you seeing? How was it working? You're a therapist, you were getting clients, etc. Would you talk about that for a few minutes, please?
Yes. Nourish, well, I suppose a concept I came up with to hopefully educate and support people in nutrition and lifestyle. So initially I was working alongside a psychotherapist in the area of eating disorder of mental health. And then a lot of the work was based around word of mouth and referrals. Then I came into the arena of doing like public speaking, which really threw me last year. And I actually then was at a point where I was not having a work-life balance myself. So work was going great. The opportunity was there. I had enough of work. However, my own work-life balance, I wasn't really implementing. So for the end of last year, then I had to take a career break. And that really taught me a lot, I think. In the instances of being prepared for working for yourself and working in an area like I was working in, you know, having a network, having a team, working alongside a team is so, so important. People that support, but also people that are looking for support have so many different needs that maybe nutrition can't meet. Maybe they need psychotherapy, maybe it's physical therapy. So I think the challenges I found was the lack of progression within the field that I was working in, and the lack of, I suppose, team environment that a few of us were trying to create, but it was challenging to create. I still believe in what I'm doing and what I continue to do, and I really want to expand on it. I suppose right now we find ourselves at a difficult crossroads, and having to make choices that maybe we didn't realize we were going to have to make. 50% of my business would have been gone instantaneously because I'd have to be physically present, you know. Massage therapy, I would do skin therapy as well. So at the moment it's phone or it's video, which is great. but I suppose I'm getting the opportunity now to build an online business, which I hadn't really thought too much about, to be honest. I was also trying to take care of my own health for the last couple of months, which is greatly improved, thank God. So that's everything else. I think a lot of us are finding ourselves in the same place right now with regarding our choices we're going to make, even in our own lives, not just our business lives. And I think trying to collaborate both of them together in a healthy and a efficient manner, you know.
Yeah. And would you say, Noelle, that based on your learnings to date and your business up until COVID hit, would you say that you personally are reasonably well prepared to cope with what's happening out there? Is that a fair statement or question?
I think from what I've been through personally has made me quite adaptable and proactive when it comes to a challenge or maybe a crisis or something. So I would take the responsibility on to start making changes the best way I can, and really just start with the basics, you know, work on what I have right now to the best that I can do, and see where I go from there. Nobody knows, you know, we can just hope, believe in what we do and what we did, and it gives you a chance even to make a change. If the job is not right for you, maybe it is a time to make an adjustment. I think we're all trying to stay secure, even though we don't feel secure. I think grounding yourself and trying to keep yourself feeling secure in the now, and remind yourself you are okay and you're not alone. There's always someone that will give you a helping hand. I wasn't a good business person anyways, you know, I had support that I really, really needed. I wasn't prepared for Nourish with Noelle, but I learned a lot last year. I had a few knockbacks last year that really taught me a lot. And I suppose this is just another one that I'm learning through as well. And just coping the best I can. You know, I don't really give myself an opportunity to get too overwhelmed by it all, because I know I have the choice to find a way of coping with this. And the worry and being scared does nothing for me, and does nothing for my coping skills or me helping other people cope as well. So
couple of things I made notes there, Noelle, while you were speaking. Thank you for that. And a couple of things that came to mind was when you started out, you had enough work. You know, you were flat out really, meeting people and meeting their needs. And but then you sort of realized, and you've been honest, that you didn't have the work-life balance that perhaps you were preaching to others. Mm-hmm. That led you to a career break, which I think was a very brave move, but the right move for you. One thing that strikes me about the world of therapy, lots of therapists with different modalities out there. And oftentimes it's difficult for a therapist to marry therapy and business. You just touched on it there, that, you know, you didn't see yourself as quite the business person. But I do think that therapists in general might be wonderful practitioners, but they don't have the business acumen perhaps that they should. And vice versa, business people perhaps don't have the therapy. So how did you find clients prior to COVID-19? How did that happen for you?
Referrals. Word of mouth was the biggest thing for me. And referrals. It wasn't online. It wasn't online at all, really. A little bit on social media, but nothing that would have kept me going. I think that's why I got really thrown, is I didn't expect the workload that started. And that's still there, but I definitely have more free time to make waves online. And it is the future. Like there's no going back, you know. We are having to create and build a new normal, whatever that may be. So we're all having to kind of start from scratch, I think, in a way.
Yeah, I think the wonderful thing is we've all been gifted that same opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, this series had been born because of COVID, and here we are, comfortably, all of us learning how to work online, face to face. without being physically in the same room. So I think that's going to transform many, many businesses, yours included. One question I may ask, and don't go as deep as or only go as deep as you need to on this one, is, therapists take in a lot. They give of themselves a lot, and therefore they take on a lot, is my understanding. So you mentioned team. I circled the word team. So is it important for you to have a team that you can go to and, if you like, offload, maintaining discretion obviously, but offload so that you can, get rid of whatever stresses are brought to you on a daily basis? Is that an important part of what you do?
Absolutely. Support needs support, 100%. We do hear a lot and we do take on a lot. A lot of us are in this role because we can empathize with what the person is going through. That place very well, and that's where you have to keep your boundaries and making sure that you are keeping yourself well. And that does mean, having a supervisor, having your co-workers with you as well in that. And obviously, confidentiality and everything has to be respected, but there's steps like that put in place. But anyone that's in a therapeutic role, it's very, very important that you have support. Not just on your day-to-day work, but what you are going through and how it takes a toll on your energy. And that's what happened mine. I was working a lot. I went into like public speaking, and I suppose I'm not I wouldn't say I lack it's not a confidence issue. It's more, I just like to be out and about. I don't really want to be in front of a lot of people, especially when I was talking about myself. It wouldn't be the most comfortable spot I'd be in, as you know. And I think that it was all of that. It was just, you get really, really overwhelmed, and there was very little downtime, and very little, I suppose, support for my own needs at the time where I wasn't putting it in place. It was my responsibility. And I think that's what this whole COVID-19 can bring up for people is a lot of feeling overwhelmed and a lot of stress and maybe not knowing how to cope, or the actual opposite, that we've been made stop. And this can bring up other stuff that maybe we haven't dealt with before, and that can overwhelm us. And that's where therapeutic support is important for people.
Yeah, you mentioned something. I make notes, and I circled this one. Support needs support. There's a lovely phrase.
Yeah.
That's obviously in the line of therapeutic support for therapists, but also in the people on this call, the people who've decided to join us, and thank you all for joining us. We're all in different fields, but we all need support. I would like to think many of us on the call here are supportive individuals, and therefore we need to support each other. Support needs support. Lovely one. The other one that you said, Noelle, is many therapists can empathize with where their client is because they've been there. They've stared at the wall, and they've stared over the precipice, if you like, and as a result they know exactly what they're talking about. Do you think that's important in a therapeutic sense, as opposed to somebody who's read a book about an issue?
I don't know. I think it depends on what area you are coming from. I suppose I believe in experiencing something really does give you a certain insight into it. However, I think it's really, really important that you have done your own work as well, and had your own support and have dealt with that to a certain degree. And you have your boundaries around that, I think is really, really important. I suppose I've been 7 years plus doing different modalities. I would do talk therapy, or I would use physical therapy, or I would use exercise or music or whatever. I always find ways to support my nervous system. And I suppose from having to rely on so many different modalities, it does help to be able to give that support to other people. But I suppose my practice, I do find, having gone through it such an extent and for such a period of time, that I notice the little things that I really needed in that time that I can bring to my work that make a profound difference. And they're so little. They're missed a lot of time in healthcare. Things like listening to your patient / client, to what they have to say and their experience of what they're going through, and validating their experience and giving them the respect and the dignity and the care that they so deserve. And sometimes that attention can be missed or lacking in healthcare.
And lovely words there. I was actually thinking about even business consultants. You know, that's we need to be willing to listen rather than just sit there with a checkbook of or a checklist of answers. You know, this is your problem, do this. This is your problem, do this, do the other. We need to become better listeners. I think all of us.
Sorry.
No, please.
Like, I would never presume that I, just because I'm educated or in what I do or have experienced it to a certain depth, I would never think that I know a person sitting in front of me more than they know themselves. Because I don't. You know, I'm only there to support them in their needs. And it doesn't matter what their experience is or what their age is. I would never ever come from that space. And I think that's really, really important. No matter what your qualification is or length of time in service, we are so individual and we all have a different history, and we've all got to this place for different reasons. And that the individual can be lost, and I think that's what can hurt sometimes or cause a lot of pain in the long run, you know.
Yeah, since I've known you, Noelle, you've been talking about this, that regrettably a lot of the health services are cookie cutter based. Now, I'm paraphrasing here and I'm using my own words, but in other words, it's sort of, well, this is what we do, this is how you fix somebody, and it's based on a formula as opposed to the individual. I think your approach is it's got to be individualized. Everything's got to be individualized. Is that?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, because, you know, I could have anxiety and the person beside me could have anxiety, but it would be for completely different reasons. You could have people in a room with the same diagnosis, and it would be for 10 different reasons. And this is why blanket treatment does not work and actually can be more harmful than good in the long run.
Okay, Noelle, when the veil lifts, and it will, right? When the veil lifts, and it will.
And it will.
3 months or whatever. How do you see Nourish with Noelle? What shape might it be? What would you like it to be?
I wouldn't change much of what I'm doing. I probably wouldn't work on my my methods, I suppose, of how I get what I want to get across and reaching as many people as I can to help. And getting information, I think, out there is the biggest thing, and helping people interpret that for them. I hope it will continue. I do want to build on it. Nutrition, I love. It's a great foundation. Massage therapy, touch therapies are very, very powerful, especially in times of stress. It's a passive way of getting treatment. You don't have to do anything. But I definitely think our foundations need more support. You know, it's challenging being a human being in today's world, and being is a challenge. We're strong, and you know, our resilience are being put to the test. We're still human, and we still have our sensitivity. And I think we all need to kind of pull together and find ways of supporting each other, which I think we're doing a great job of.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. That's your team coming together. COVID-19 perhaps has thrown us all into the same boat together and said, right, let's
Think of
work
that.
it out. So we'll be grateful to COVID for that. Noelle, before we go to the floor for Q&A, and the norm is somebody would stick up their hand and wave at the camera, and that means we're going to unmute them. They can ask you a question directly. Before we go there, Noelle, have you one tip, please, that you would give to anybody, any one of us? What's the one thing we could all do today, tomorrow, that would have a difference, please?
Breathe, 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 breathe. It sounds so basic, but it's probably so underestimated. It has a really powerful way of grounding us. It works really on this big nerve, which is the main nerve that really connects our bodies and our mind. And that functions really well, especially on exhaling. So if I could give you one tip, is to just keep breathing.
So I'm going to put you on the spot now, and I'm going to ask you to lead us in a breath.
Okay.
A breath.
Make sure that your 2 feet are on the ground.
Okay.
So the way we're going to do this is we're going to breathe in for 4, try and hold for 7, and then breathe out for 8. Okay?
Will you count us, please?
Yeah. So breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and breathe out for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down into your belly. 8. Well done.
The standard coffee at 11 clap. We usually clap because everybody's muted. So that was beautiful. Thank you very much indeed. We'll be practicing that for the rest of the day. Okay, Noelle, that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you for being my guest. But we're not going to let you go. We've got some Q&A from the floor first. So stay where you are, please. Who's going to ask a question? Kelly, shy and retiring. Tim, you're live. Meet Noelle.
Hi, Noelle.
Hi,
Thank you for your words this morning. It's been fantastic. One of the things I think you might agree with, or something that's helped me an awful lot, is the concept of self-care, is kind of looking after yourself before you help others. A clever man once sat me down and had a chat with me maybe 12 months ago, and it made a big impact in my life. And I just thought maybe you could share your thoughts around self-care and making sure you put yourself first when suitable.
Yes, hi Tim. Yes, I think it's an art. It's a work in progress because it's really something we're not used to doing, is taking care of ourselves. It can feel like we're being selfish or we're not caring about other people. It's just something you practice. When you practice, you realize how well you feel and how well you function. And then it's something that you really want to pass on to other people, because you want them to feel just as good as you are doing. And it can be really, really small things and start off really, really small. And I do think it is an art. I do think it takes time. And it's constant and it grows and it changes, and it can be small and it can be big and it can be moments and it can be days. But we're being given the perfect opportunity now to take on some self-care routines.
Thank you.
Great question, Tim, and lovely answer. Thank you, Noelle. Tim, you okay with that?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Happy days. I'll just respond to that if I may. Poyomf, P-O-Y-O-O-M-F, put on your own oxygen mask first. We hear it in every flight we go on. If we don't look after ourselves, we can't look after the people around us. And another phrase I heard, and by the way, all these phrases I've robbed, let's be honest, right? Not very bright, but I'm observant. And another one is self-care is not selfish. Love that phrase. Self-care is not selfish. So look after ourselves first, and then let's look after the people around us. And we all on the call here and anybody watching this video have a role to play. We're being called, by the way, I think by the universe to step up and do what we can in these very strange times. Any other questions? Who wants to ask Noelle a question? Sarah.
Yeah, all this kind of online stuff is new for me, like, you know, and I've been challenged lately to do a Skype meeting. I do voluntary work and I help people with ME because I've got it a number of years now, and basically I advise people to help them with their symptoms and how to give them a better quality of life. My challenge now is to go on Skype and do a group meeting, right? And when you're in a room and you're talking to people, you can use your mannerisms and you can see their faces and everything, and you can communicate that way. But what I want to know is, have you any advice on how to keep the mood up when you're dealing with people on social media like this? How do you gauge it, and how do you kind of say, right, okay, you have 4 people on, and they're all listening to you, and you have to keep the mood up, you know? Have you any advice for me? Because that's my one kind of, I suppose I haven't done it before, and I feel a little bit kind of wary about it, and I'd like a little bit of advice, please.
Yes. This is a challenge, and the first thing I would say is give yourself a break. Don't put so much pressure on yourself, because you're not alone in the conversation. You know, everyone's going to take a chance to talk. And I think even just hearing someone's voice alone is quite powerful in these times, you know, in a time where we're having to be physically distant. Talking and communicating, voice, videos, has an impact on how well our hormones function, especially our oxytocin, which is our bonding, our love connecting hormone. So you just being there and you just speaking on that alone is a support to people. So I would give yourself a break and be yourself. Other people will talk as well. And some people really just want you there for the talk, and because you're being present and you're offering support. So just be yourself.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Nice question. Sarah, I wouldn't mind following up with you on that separately, if that's okay. We might do a one-on-one.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Great. We'll chat later. Noelle, just before, and then I'll bring you in a second, just before we get off Sarah's point. Noelle, you told me a story. I hope you don't mind me putting you on the spot again. You told me a story about a guy leaving voice notes from another guy. Would you mind telling that story here? Because I think it's really important just now.
Yeah, so there was a guy going through a really hard time with depression, and he'd got to the point there that he was not leaving his home. Spending majority of his days on his own. He was getting contact with people regarding text messages or emails, which was all fine. But there was one friend who would send him WhatsApp voice notes every day. So every morning or every evening on his way to work or at work, he'd send a voice note. And it would be just anything. You know, he'd just be walking on the street or talk about his girl he'd seen lads now. And he did it every day for 9 months. And eventually when the guy got better and came back out, he said that he got a lot of contact from people. That was great, but what kept him going was the voice notes, because that made him know and made him feel like he was there and he was cared for, and he was being seen. And it does actually have an effect on our psychology. It has an effect on our brains when you hear someone's voice or when you see someone. So you never know just by the little voice note you send to someone, even saying hi, how it makes them feel.
Fantastic. Thank you, Noelle. Thank you, Sarah. That was a lovely question. That was a lovely follow on. Eamon Smith, unless you've, please, Eamon, you're live. Thank you.
Good morning, Colin. Good morning, Noelle. Good morning, everybody. Noelle, first of all, thank you so much for your vulnerability, which is such power, incredible. And I was scribbling away too. By the way, can I just say that public speaking thing that you did last year. You were absolutely amazing. I know, because I was there and it was so engaging. But I had a question for you. So, you know, like mental reconditioning and mental rebuilding from the inside out is something very dear to my heart, and it's the field I'm in. So I really relate to that. So my question around that would be, with all the amazing work that you do, could you maybe give us a little bit about how does Noelle nourish Noelle? And I mean, like, you know, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, how does Noelle nourish Noelle? Could you maybe give us a couple of insights?
Whew.
Things like, what do you do? What do you do to nourish you in a moment if you need it?
I suppose I've had to really go back to basics, because for many years I really want to bring down the weight, but I suppose I want to be real as well. I suppose for a long time I found this place really hard to be in. I worked very hard to be here. But every night going to bed, I honestly would pray to God that I wouldn't wake up, and that's being very honest.
Yeah.
And I had to do a lot of work over the years to get to a place where I saw my sense of work, I suppose, or my place here. And it was no big secret, you know, there was no big answer to why I was feeling the way I was feeling for so long. It was all the little things that I was not really paying attention to or really valuing. Like breathing, you know, I didn't breathe right. That was actually a big issue of mine, was I held my breath because I wasn't very accepting of my emotions. So if I would cry, I would hold my breath. It was a bad habit, really. When I got panic attacks, I would hold my breath. So I was actually making myself sick by the way I was doing it. So breathing really had to, I had to practice. And even now people would stop me and be like, breathe, you know. So it's something I have to practice. Breath work, I think, is really powerful. Who I spend time with is a big thing. So people are what keeps me going. I'm very lucky. I have great people around me all the time, and I think reality and, you know, having those people is what nourishes me and is what got me through the really, really hard times. With people, with my family, or with my friends, I was in it. I was always present. And I would remember all those times because I knew there was going to be a time where I was going to be struggling or going to go through a hard time or a bad spell. So when I was out with people, I would just be there and I would enjoy it, because that was a big part of my personality that I didn't want to lose. I was always very optimistic. I love having a laugh. I am generally light-hearted. But it's just when you're going through a hard time, you forget those parts of you. And I think going through this time right now is important to still be lighthearted and to enjoy parts of your day and to be around people and environments that make you feel good. Because there is going to be moments that we're going to be worried and we're going to be unsure and we won't be able to breathe. So I think it is important to nourish ourselves with things that make us feel good. And that for me generally is people and environments and the little things that I do every day, like movement, eating well is a big thing for me. Spending time with people is a big thing for me. Music, playing music, dancing. We all have our little things, and I think just we can't ignore the little things. We're all being brought back down now to getting back to basics. And they really do mind us, mind and body. We pay heed to them, you know. We're all vulnerable now. We're all vulnerable to life, people, to our environments, to our thoughts. So we just have to really mind ourselves and each other in whatever way it feels good.
Wonderful.
That was probably a bit too long of an answer.
No, really, because I totally I'm there. I feel you. You talk about those long dark nights of the soul. I know what they look like and feel like and smell like and taste like. So I highly value your answer. Thank you so much. You're scribbling away like mad there.
Beautiful question, Eamon, and equally beautiful answer, Noelle. Thank you for going there. You know, it's difficult to come on and be vulnerable, but genuinely, we got to, I think, where we can, you know, put ourselves out there and say, this is me. No matter what you think, this is me, and my life isn't perfect, despite whatever way I present myself, and therefore you don't need to be perfect either. Your life doesn't need to be perfect. You just need to be real.
No, and we're all doing our best.
We're all doing our best.
Yeah.
And you know, I have to say, Noelle, you walk the talk completely. You live and breathe this stuff. And I'll also say it shows, you know, you're a picture of health. So congratulations.
And the stress shows from the grey hair, by the way. So stop stressing.
We know each other, so I'll ask you this question. So how long are you grey?
I've been grey really since I was 15. But I rapidly went grey about 3 to 5 years ago. And that was really a sign of the stress has gotten a bit too much now. But I just have to get over myself and deal with it, you know.
Well, I was just going to say, but you embraced it. You're rocking the grey. All right, listen, folks. Noelle Crehan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Coffee at 11, and the amount of good that this is going to do, I think is phenomenal. So I'd like to thank you first and foremost, but I'd also like to thank everybody who's come on. Would you please give Noelle our Coffee at 11 clap, the deaf community clap, because you're all muted, to show our appreciation and our respect. And I'd like to invite you all back tomorrow for Coffee at 11. A good friend of mine, Ian Hannon of Activate Sales Training, is coming on, and Ian is coming from a very different perspective, but an equally important perspective, which is, you know, a business that he's been running for some years now. I met Ian maybe 4 or 5 years ago when he was starting out, and things began to rock, and all of a sudden, more than the rest of us, it's fallen off a cliff. So I'd love you to join myself and Ian tomorrow for Coffee at 11. And then another special guest on Friday. But one more time, Noelle Crehan, pleasure. Stay well.
Very much. Thank you very much.
Namaste. Namaste.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the other side.